Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to this Sage webinar on a rather wet and dreary Monday morning. So my name's Will McLean. I'm from TSG, work for the marketing department, and I'll just be sort of dealing with the admin side of this webinar. I'm also joined here today by Stephen Osprey, who is the applications partner manager for TSG, and you'll hear from him very shortly. And we're also very fortunate to have Chris Tucker, Channel Enablement Manager from Sage, who is the expert with us, who will talk through all the elements and give us a demo of the facility. So that's enough from me. I will now pass over to Stephen Osprey, and then we'll get cracking with the demo. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning everybody. Thanks for coming along. It's, like as Will said, a very dreary Monday morning, but hopefully we're going to liven it up for you this morning. This is the Sales Productivity and Customer Service webinar, and named as such for a very specific reason. Most of you who have kind of moved through account software over the past kind of 10 or 15 years, if you're of a particular vintage like me, you'll have seen the progression as we've moved from purely financial systems into sort of commercial systems handling things like sales order processing, purchase order processing, etc., through to some more advanced features. You'll see that finance systems have grown really into true kind of ERP, enterprise resource products, or business management systems. And I see the Sage 200 CRM product as very much a continuation of that. As businesses look to become more efficient, they're using software to automate more, which is great. So that efficiency drive, as I say, CRM is the latest in that. We've got sales productivity, which is everything from how you actually initially find prospects, engage with them, and move them through to actually becoming a transacting customer, and then into customer service, which is really everything sort of during and then post-sale. So how you manage an individual customer, how you relate to them, how you speak to them, market to them, and then obviously keep them a customer for as long as possible. So the great thing is that we've got Chris here today, and Chris is going to run you through a demonstration of that, and then at the end you'll hear again from me, and then we'll talk about TSG and how we can help you in that efficiency drive in your business. So over to Chris.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Morning, everyone. Hope you're well. We're just going to dive straight in, do a little bit of background on what actually CRM is, and a little bit about the Sage side of things, what we think about CRM, and then we'll actually just dive straight into the product. So again, CRM is a bit of a dirty word for us because it doesn't quite explain for us what it really is. It's not, just customer relationship management. It's not just the sales tool. Actually, we think it's a business strategy. So if you think of every single interaction that you have within your business, so I'm not just talking about with sales, it could be with suppliers, or it could be with existing people within your company, you really kind of need to think of ways that you can work better with people. So I mentioned customers, could be prospects or new business, could be suppliers, how you manage relationships with them, existing colleagues, so kind of working better and more efficiently with them, the whole business world. So I don't want you just to think, oh, it's just a sales tool. Actually, it's far from it. Every area of your business where you collaborate with people, Sage CRM can kind of work with you on that. So not just that, but actually for the social side of it as well. So you might notice some of those icons, the LinkedIn, the Facebook, the Twitter, some of you may already be familiar with these. And again, Sage CRM has the ability to deal with these. Now, all of you guys are existing Sage customers, so you know that it's not just an accounts package, it deals with lots of different areas of your business. Now, I would say over the last 5 years, people have really utilized Sage 200 to kind of get more efficiencies within the business, to streamline the business, to kind of get some cost savings. And we've done quite a lot of research recently, because now that we're coming out of a kind of recession period around the world, people are starting to want to make more money, quite simply. So Gartner, who are one of the kind of worldwide marketing experts, predict that CRM will be a £36 billion market by 2017. So actually the spend for people on business software will not just be on accounts products, it'll actually be on CRM. So the ability to grow your business, to increase your revenue, to retain customers is kind of key. So again, we're really trying to focus on people getting more out of their software. Okay, so one of the things that we want to talk about is there's a lot of business packages out there, but one of the things we think we're very good at is kind of integrating CRM with your account solution, and we think they should work very closely together. Now, just going to show you a couple of facts and figures here. Now, these are from company research that we call kind of best-in-class companies, so the companies that have the highest customer retention, the companies that sell more, and these guys all have a customer-facing staff upsell or cross-sell interface. So basically they have business software that allows them to look at how the customers are behaving, but actually how to sell more to those customers and how to cross-sell against other products. So there's definitely some kind of key metrics that tell us that it's very successful. So a little bit about CRM. We've got over 15,000 customers in 70 countries, and actually across just about every single industry vertical imaginable. So don't think, oh, is my company kind of suitable for CRM? Actually, 15,000 companies around the world are using CRM and using it with their kind of accounts package as well. So just to give you a brief kind of coverage of where we are, I'm not going to list them all one by one, but just to get across to you that actually we do touch on every single type of business. So like I say, anywhere where you have a relationship, a collaboration with a customer or supplier or colleague, it doesn't really matter what industry you're in, and we've kind of got successful implementations around the world that prove that. So one of the things, without sounding too cheesy, we say kind of a 360-degree view of your business. So Sage 200 and CRM sits in the middle, but actually your back office integration, your finance, your stock control, they tell you kind of how your customers behave, how your suppliers behave, what makes you the most money. Now it makes sense to use that information to kind of market and be strategic with those people, to actually manage those relationships from a customer service point of view, but actually the sales cycle should work in tandem with your account system as well. So what I want to do is just imagine a scenario. Now you may be familiar with some of this information if you've used the Sage 200 demo data, but the example I'm going to say is we're home-style kitchens. We sell kitchens, bathrooms, appliances, and one of our key customers is Abbey Retail Limited, one of our biggest customers, and they've just moved offices. What I want to show in CRM is that we'll be looking to do more business with them over the coming months. Now, a little bit of fun here. But let's take a proper look at Abbey Retail from all the different departments from Homestyle Kitchens. So, Stephen, who you may recognise from the photograph, he's a sales director at Abbey Retail. He's a sales director, sorry, at Homestyle Kitchens, and he feels that Abbey Retail are a good customer. They moved offices 3 months ago, and that's because Will, our account manager, who's out on the road, says Abbey Retail regularly place large orders with them. So from a sales point of view, things are looking good. We've got a good view of where Abbey Retail are. Now, if we go from a back office point of view, Chris, who's the finance director, I must say that photograph that you're about to see has been photoshopped slightly, so I'm not quite as rugged and as good looking as that photograph appears. But Chris is the finance director, feels that Abbey Retail are in trouble and could soon go bust. Now that is based on information coming from Doris, who works in accounts and tells him that Abbey Retail took 90 days to pay their last bill. Now, also, extra information, the last time Doris was calling them, the phone's been disconnected, and the last statement was sent to them by post was returned to sender. So the picture we're getting from accounts is very different to what the sales guys are getting. Now, John, who works in customer services, he's had several complaints from Abbey Retail. They feel we don't communicate very well with them as a business, and it takes a long time to get back to them with any queries. So we've seen 3 different outlooks on the same company. Now, if we kind of introduced some areas, fast access to key business data, if we maybe brought in SLAs or improved our communication internally, if we shared documents, were more collaborative, working together, would we all have different points of view. So the point is, Abbey Retail have grown substantially and they've moved offices. And it was something as simple as that. They've actually hired 35 extra sales staff. So Sage 200 CRM gives us one version of the truth. So if all the different departments, all the different people within our business, we don't have to have a customer service manager, we may not even have a marketing manager, but if you imagine the people within your business, you could all potentially have different views of the same company. And this, by using CRM, actually gives you one version of that truth. Now, the fact that Abbey Retail have grown substantially, 3 months ago, we could have spotted that opportunity a lot earlier. So using things like email rather than post, social media to see kind of what's happening. I've no doubt they probably would have been on Twitter or Facebook saying that they've started a new office or they've got new salespeople. If we were sharing documents, if we were adding account management information into CRM, and actually we were logging communications and opportunities, then anyone who logs into CRM would have been able to notice this information. So, how much do you really know about your customers? So I'm not going to go too much into PowerPoint. I'm going to dive into some Sage 200 stuff now. And what I'm about to show you is actually stuff that exists out of the box within Sage 200 2015. And what I'm showing now is a part of our Excel reports. And this is really just to demonstrate some things that are going on within the companies at the moment. So I'm looking at Excel data here. Now this is telling me what's going on in my company at the moment. So I'm looking at sales order information. I can drill down into different areas and I can start being strategic to see what are we selling, who we're selling to, what are our key areas of business. If I go to me related items, actually, I might think certain stock items are our best-selling items. I might think that from a cross-sell or upsell point of view, it's better to sell certain products with other products. Now, a lot of people use that assumption based on gut feeling, but actually, using your Sage 200 software, it's important to start looking at that information and say, if I click on that stock item, what actually is our best-selling item with it? So this is telling us based on the fact that actually this particular cooker, that the extractor hood sells the most with that particular sales item. So this kind of gives us stuff based on fact on what's kind of going on within the business. So that could affect profitability. But more importantly, if we want to start being strategic and saying, actually, wouldn't it be interesting to see which customers have bought these stock items but not those stock items? And that should be the basis for how we start marketing, calling out to those customers and selling to those customers. So if you legitimately do want to grow your business, you need to be armed with these facts which already exist in Sage 200 and then kind of extracting this information, start creating groups that we can market on. So some of the other information that you may want to look at is stock by region. So not just looking at kind of profitability, but areas of opportunity. So looking at areas of weakness or areas of strength, you might want to start campaigning or looking at acquiring business in certain areas of the country. And again, Sage 200 has all that information anyway. So it tells you what customers do, when they buy, what they buy, where you're dispatching that information to. So just harnessing that information, we can do something with it. And maybe actually you just want to look at profit, see who's kind of doing what and where. Now, I'm just going to show you a quick graphical representation. Now, apologies, this will actually be very fast on my screen, but the WebEx software might slow this down a little bit. But what I'm going to show you here is just a little representation of what's actually going on with a company over a 2-year period. Now, again, I mentioned this as part of the Excel reports that you get within Sage 200. So all I'm looking at is over a 2-year period, looking at a build-up of what's actually happened within the company. Now, I think you'll slowly start building up, but what actually this points out is areas of strength, areas of weakness, areas of opportunity. So we'll look, actually you can tell it's demo there because I don't think anyone buys that level of stock in Middlesbrough, but actually you can see that things like in London, we've got areas of opportunity. If we look at Wales and Scotland, we don't seem to do a lot of business there. Is there potential for growth in there? So again, stuff that you can look at within your company on the latest version. So I'm going to dive straight into CRM. Now, CRM comes with Sage 200, and that's one of the kind of the facts that people forget. You know, the bread and butter of your business is probably your Sage 200, actually, but when you buy Sage 200, you get CRM with it. So it's just a case of switching this on and showing the information. So I'm logged in as a salesperson right now. In fact, I'm looking at a dashboard. So when I log in, it looks at the concept of my CRM. So that's me looking at CRM from my personal point of view. Now, the first thing it shows it is dashboards which are relevant to what I want to see. Now, actually, looking at it from a CEO point of view, I might only want to look at kind of the headlines. So I want to look at opportunities by sales reps. I might want to just kind of drill down on that information by clicking on it and just running a report. So again, just by clicking in, I can drill down. Or it might be actually, I want to look at some of my kind of social media and look at the kind of the key people who are relevant on the same level as me. So again, just by clicking on links, it'll open your social media side. So I'm looking at LinkedIn in this case, and we're looking at Stephen's LinkedIn profile when it loads. Just got a 2-second lag here. So again, this is something which is really important in kind of managing relationships. So no doubt you have key customers, and it's very important to see how them customers are working with you. Is there any information? Have they opened a new business site? Are they selling a new product? Are they buying a new product? This sort of information companies are now willing to share on social media. So again, I'm looking at LinkedIn, but it could be Facebook, it could be Twitter. And from a CRM point of view, a dashboard point of view, it's worth having that information at hand. Now, it could be, I might want to have a look at key sales information. So when I log in as a salesperson, what I want to see is information that is relevant to me as a person. I want to see what my opportunities are. I want to see what status they're at and where they're at from a high level point of view. So again, looking at the graphs, I can see what's been closed, what's in the lead stage, what's been qualified, what's been submitted, what's been agreed. So again, from a high level point of view, I can see what's going on in my business. It may be, I just want to have a look at my calendar. So I've got a few appointments in there today. I know what I can and can't do. So from a high level point of view, I can see what's going on. Now, everything you look at on this screen is a suggestion. This is what I've suggested I want to look at. But every screen that you see here is customizable to what you want to see. So whether it's key Sage 200 metrics or sales metrics or marketing metrics, we can kind of add those onto the system.
Chris, I'm just going to interrupt you. Actually, you're talking about marketing. There's a question that's come through, and again, sorry. Firstly, apologies if this is a bit sort of jumpy for you all. Unfortunately, Chris's Sage laptop isn't talking very well to the TSG networks, so we're having to trust wireless, which I think everybody knows on a Monday morning is particularly sleepy. So please bear with us in that respect. But Chris, a couple of people have asked actually, and with CRM, is there anything that CRM can do when it comes to marketing and it comes to e-marketing? So yeah, if you just have a quick look at that, that'd be great.
Absolutely, yeah, thanks for the question, Will. So yeah, we all know kind of in this day and age, kind of contacting customers is kind of key to growing your business. Now, there's a very specific marketing area within Sage 200, and actually it links to some of the kind of best used e-marketing systems. So out of the box, it actually links with MailChimp and SwiftPage. Now, the one that we kind of recommend is the MailChimp, and the reason being is out of the box, it's free. So everyone makes something for nothing. Now, I mentioned before about being strategic in the way that we want to kind of contact our customers. Now, if you kind of, instead of just sending emails to everyone with every offer, if you be really strategic and say which kind of products sell well with other products, which customers have bought product A but not product B, and will e-market based on that information, then actually you'll be, you won't kind of just, it'll be more relevant to what people see. So, for example, by using the MailChimp, you get 12,000 free emails a month without subscription. So that should be more than enough for people to use. And you can use it on the back of existing campaigns. So I'm looking at a marketing screen here where I can create as many campaigns as I want, or over a period of time, and I can set up a cost association with that. And within those marketing campaigns, I have what's kind of known as wave activities. So it might be that I'm sending e-marketing out with regards to awareness. And you'll see at the bottom, actually, there's some metrics which kind of tell me kind of where we're at from an opportunity and needs point of view. So one of the issues that we've had people talk to us about with Sage is it's nice to be able to do marketing, but actually seeing how successful marketing is very important. So we can spend a lot of money on marketing, but looking at that return on investment is important. So if I'm being strategic, I'm using my Sage 200 data, I'm using my e-marketing to see, okay, I'm going to send 1,000 emails out to customers who've bought product A and not product B. I can see very quickly at a glance, I can see people who've deleted those emails and just not opened them, but actually more importantly, I can see the guys who've opened them and clicked on any links. And it's crucial if I want to be efficient and more kind of strategic in my sales process to kind of concentrate on those guys first. So if I've got from 1,000 emails sent out, I've got 50 people who've opened my emails and clicked through the link. That is going to create a list that my salespeople can work on. And it's far easier to work on a list of 50 people who are interested than then 50 people who aren't that interested. So again, looking at this screen, this is a high-level screen that we're looking at our waves, but I can start drilling down into individual activities. So I can look at things like 3 for 2 offers, and I can kind of log communications against it. So again, from a high level basis, I can store documents, communications, emails that have gone out and start being really strategic with it. So absolutely, it's a real strength of Sage 200 CRM. Just going back to my CRM, so we talked about dashboards, but actually I'm going to be really selfish here and I want to see what CRM can do for me personally. So when I log in, things that are important to me is, yes, sales metrics, but actually, I want to see my calendar. What have I got on this today? What have I got on this week? So I can see at a glance tasks, appointments, key things that a salesperson wants to know about. But actually, do I want it to link to my Outlook? Well, that option does exist, so you can have CRM linking fully with your Outlook, so it synchronizes, so you don't have to duplicate information. The one thing that we're keen on in CRM is the last thing we want you to do is start duplicating information. Information you put in your accounts package shouldn't have to be duplicated in your CRM package, so we have a synchronization which is kind of in most cases real time, which tells us kind of exactly what's going on. So if I put a calendar on my Outlook, I don't want to have to put it in my CRM system as well. I might want to see who my key contacts are from my point of view. So again, let's list all the contacts, and I can create these from a group if I want to. So if I want to market all of my key contacts to wish them Merry Christmas or give them a end of month 3 for 2 offer, then I can do that very quickly. So you can see on the right hand side there's opportunities to merge to PDF, mail merge, or to send emails out to them. So I don't want to go around the houses to do some fairly simple tasks. Now, we mentioned e-marketing before. Now, those 50 emails that I may have sent out that have been opened, I can have the ability to use leads within CRM. Now, this is optional. You might want to go straight into what we call opportunities, but if you have a sales process where you deal with a lot of raw data, you might want to segregate your data from leads to opportunities. So I'm looking at my leads, and I can drill down to what's been assigned to different salespeople, or people have been contacted, or actually items that have been rated and ready to go to opportunities. So again, very quickly, I can drill down into the nth degree if I need to, or just look at it from a pipeline point of view. I can look at any outbound call lists that I may have. So again, those 50 calls, those 50 emails that have come in, I can create a list on the back of that and actually do something relevant with it. So I don't want to ring 1,000 people when I can ring 50 who are actually legitimately interested. More importantly to me is my opportunities. I want to see kind of what's coming in. I'm just going to expand that a little bit so I can see all of my opportunities. So I can see all of my opportunities across the board at every level. So I'm just waiting for my Sage laptop to catch up with the TSG software there. So now I can segregate my opportunities into different areas. So what's a lead, what's been qualified, where's a proposal submitted or sale agreed. And again, this is just what we've suggested you use. You may have your own sales process that you want to bring in. You have your own terminology. Now, I've got quite a number of stages in there, but it might be you just have 2 stages, one are lost, you know. So it may be that you want to take it a step further and you want to use those opportunities to start forecasting. So at each stage that you've got, once they've been qualified or proposals submitted or you've physically sent quotes or in negotiation stage, you might want to use that to aid with the forecasting. So if I'm a salesperson, I want to know what's in my pipeline, where it's at physically, but actually what am I going to forecast to the sales manager and is it going to be accurate? So system has the ability to deal with that, but actually can look at it historically as well. So if I want to see what I've done this time last year, is it realistic to forecast what I'm going to? We talked about collaboration earlier on, and you've probably all been in a scenario where a colleague has asked you to email something you've already sent before. Now, with Outlook kind of integration and the ability to share documents, this is where you can be uber efficient using a business system. So if you have key documents, whether they're contracts, whether they're offers, whether they're price lists for customers or suppliers, if you share that information across the business, and you can see there's a little add file button, it's actually just a drag and drop. So you don't need to go around the houses to browse the files, you just physically drag and drop it onto there. And if I want to have a look at any of that information, I can just click that attachment at any time and view it. Now, that's what I want to view, that's important to me, but actually from a manager's point of view, I might want to have a look at things as a whole across the business. If I do have a marketing team or a customer service team or a sales team, actually I want to have a look at things from a team point of view. So Team CRM allows you to do that. And again, I'm looking at a team diary now where I can see what we've got in across the board, across the team. I can see what leads have been generated across the team, not just for individual people. So I can start drilling down into some of these areas if I need to. And I can start seeing what level those leads are at. Okay. Again, opportunities that exist, and as importantly, cases. So from a customer service point of view, again, we talked about Abbey Retail saying that we don't communicate very well with their customers. I think it would be a nice story. Actually, can you imagine if Abbey Retail were calling in and whoever picked up the phone had the ability to answer a question within a few seconds of clicking around screens? So where an order's at, or how far a customer service issue has been progressed, could be key information about our offers. Stuff like that, actually, anyone within the business can answer if you've got access to CRM. It may be, even if you have a help desk, you have a series of solutions that you might want to put on there. So if you have any documents which help people, from Sage's point of view, we have a number of help desk documents that help people run a month end, run the VAT return, bread and butter things like that, that people only do maybe once a quarter, so they may need some help with it from time to time. So I'm going to cover, again, going back to me being selfish, I'm going to drill down in my opportunities. So I want to have a look at what's going on in my pipeline. So I can see at the top, I've got an opportunity, and I'm going to click into it here. Now, everything I was looking at before was quite high level, but we can go really down to the nth degree. Now, what I'm looking at is the screen from an opportunities point of view. Now, again, everything you're seeing on screen is what we've suggested you might want to see. Fields that you think, oh, that's not relevant to us, or actually that is relevant to us, you can amend any field or any screen. So in a matter of kind of a few seconds to a minute, you can change the field names, you can change all the screen layout, and actually you have the power to get involved and do that yourself. So when you use CRM, one of the things we're very proud of is making the system as easy to use as possible for customers. So you can go in and take ownership and say, actually, out of the box, it's great, it's going to do a lot for us, but wouldn't it be great if we had some extra fields, some extra screens, which are a bit more relevant to my business? So you can see on this opportunity, there's some relevant information, but actually, I can have a very specific sales process to tell us where we are. And when we're talking about forecasting before, depending on where they are in the sales cycle, we can go from screen to screen. So I can have a complicated sales cycle if I want, which controls which screen I go to, or I can have a very simple sales cycle which just is won and lost with 1 or 2 screens. So on this opportunity, I can drill down to quote level. Now I can see we've already sent a quote out and it exists within Sage 200. Now within a second, for those of you guys who use Sage 200, that screen might be a bit familiar to you, and that's just the quote screen within Sage 200. So I'm in CRM and I'm actually using Sage 200 at the same time. So quick as a flash, I can view what's going on from a quote point of view. I can have a look at my opportunity, and actually I can drill down to the profit of that quotation. So again, I'm using the power of Sage 200 with CRM using form launching. And that doesn't cost an additional license. If you have a CRM user, you can access Sage 200 information out of the box. And that's not just quotes, that could be order information. So maybe that I've actually already placed an order on the back of that. But if I want to start drilling down to communication levels and looking at what it took to actually win that or get that quote out, I can see that I've had a meeting with Stephen Osprey. I can kind of sent an email in the first case, and again, as I'm going through dealing with the opportunity, it's just a case of drag and drop, or if I want to send emails out, I can do that from there.
Chris, if I can just interrupt here, actually, there's a question that's come through. You've talked a bit about how the users can edit the screens they're seeing to suit their own particular business. We've had a question come in, one of the attendees. Obviously, their sales process, their flow sales process is quite unique, it would seem, not necessarily following all of the elements that you've shown here. So would they have to change their business to adapt to this, or can Sage 200 change to match up with their sales process? And is that an expensive thing to do?
Great question. Actually, out of the box, that's exactly what CRM is designed for. So I've just gone into the advanced area of CRM here. Now, you don't have to change the way your business works unless you want to. Now, we're all looking for efficiencies, but actually CRM is designed to work the way you want it to. So out of the box, I can choose to switch on or switch off an area called workflow. Now, if it's switched off, it means you have a very simple, easy to use sales system. You can have 1 or 2 screens and you can get things done within a click or 2. However, if you mention you have quite a complicated or unique system, what we do is we build up what we call a workflow. So in this case, I'm looking at sales workflow or opportunity workflow. And what I can do is I can say, when I create an opportunity, it only gives me a few options of what to do. And based on those different screens, again, it kind of goes on to any automation. So it may be that once I've contacted a customer, I might want to automate or send an email out or send a welcome pack, so we can automate the system to do that. Or it may be that there's only certain screens, certain information I need to ask, or certain prompts I need to put in on each screen. So again, you can have as complicated a system as you want, you can have as large a workflow as you want, and it can be suited, specifically for any customer. So I would say half to 3/4 of the customers who use CRM do use the workflow in various degrees, and it's basically just to kind of give that feeling of how your business is working. So in a lot of cases with software, you're using kind of areas of the system you don't really want to use. By using workflow, you can switch those areas off and just use the relevant areas. Great question. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the main areas I was just talking about there. Finally, so from communications and shared documents, you can see how easy, depending on where you are in the system, that the system is very collaborative. So I'm looking at this from an opportunities point of view, but any user who works for my company, it can actually go in, view documents, view communications, look at emails, and actually look at relationships. So kind of just to touch on that in a little bit more detail, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just do a little hunt for Abbey Retail. Now you can see I've searched for them before, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into Abbey Retail, and I mentioned a little bit cheesily a thing called 360-degree view of a business. Now, if I use an example, for example, I use Stephen as the finance director. Now, Stephen's decided he wants to go out and see Abbey Retail. He's identified that the business has grown significantly, and he thinks, actually, we should go and see these. We're going to talk about how we can do a bit more business with them. Now, if Stephen's never met these before, going to Sage 200 CRM, he can start looking at the bigger picture to be fully armed before he goes in. Now, I'm looking at a summary screen, but I'm just going to click on the financial screen. And what this does, that tells us that it's linked to Sage 200 accounts, and that's quite important because in your CRM system, you might have customers, you might have suppliers, but you could have prospect information in there. Now, it's important that you only integrate the information that's relevant. You could have 20,000 prospects. You don't want that information in your Sage 200 system, but you do want your customers and suppliers who you do business on a day-to-day basis. Now, looking at Abbey Retail, we can see key information, what the payment terms are. We can see what the credit limit is. We could see if they've ever been placed on hold. Now, again, the security levels in Sage 200 CRM are excellent. So depending on the user, we can see who can just view or edit information, or can change it. So I'm looking at a person, I'm looking at finance information, and I don't want my salespeople to be able to edit financial information. So that's absolutely fine. But I do need to look at some key financial information. If I run a dashboard to have a look at Abbey Retail, let's just take a second or two to catch up with the system. What I can see very quickly is who the main company contacts are within the system, what open cases I have, and what opportunities I have. So again, whatever's relevant to me of what I want to see, if I click on any of these LinkedIn guys, I can see what's going on within the business, what makes them tick, what's important to them. Especially from an ethos point of view, if there's certain things that are important to them, it's important I tap into that information. But at the same time, if I've got open customer service cases, it's clear that I know what's going on. It might be something that's very easily resolved or something I can talk about on site, but as importantly, key opportunities that I have. Now, Abbey Retail, if I click on communications, I can look at communications from the point of view of Abbey Retail. If they've sent us an email in, any phone calls that have come in, any contact that's come in, I can see the bigger picture. I can see that actually I've got a meeting today, but I can see we've also had some discussions about previous offers that have resulted in sales. If I have a look at opportunities, I can see the pipeline from Abbey Retail's point of view. So again, what's in the lead, what's qualified, what's been proposed, actually what we're currently negotiating on. So it allows me to look at the kind of the key information to Abbey Retail. If I want to again look at the key people within the business and segregate them into different types of people, so it might be a buyer, it might be a director, it might be the invoice clerk, anyone who I can help build a relationship. It's important to have that information in. If I'm going to sell, I need to sell to the right person. If I'm sending a statement or an invoice out, it needs to go to the right person, and so forth. So we talked about kind of quotes and orders. If I want to have a look to see kind of any orders which are on the system, again, just by clicking on this link, I can bring up the Sage 200 orders area. So we're just waiting for that to catch up with the software. There we go. So straight away, actually it's on my screen but not yours yet, just waiting for it to hurry up there. So yeah, now I'm actually back in Sage 200 again. So I'm looking at 360-degree view of the business. I'm not just looking at the sales side of things, I'm looking into the ERP software, the Sage 200 area. So very quickly I can see an existing order that's already been placed. I can go in and edit this order if I need to. So again, we talked about orders. Now, one of the areas I mentioned as being very important is if we really do want to grow our business, it's knowing how our customers behave. So what we've created within the system is what we call real-time data views. So this information doesn't synchronize, it actually is real-time. So if we want to start looking at what businesses buy, what they've got kind of outstanding from a sales order point of view. We can see it at the click of a button. Now, if Stephen's in front of kind of Hayley Bass at Abbey Retail, she can see what they bought, when they bought. Now, they seem to buy a lot of the sales item. If I drill into that sales item, I'm now looking at what's happening in Sage 200. It's the same information. So I can see that stock item. I've got 17 in Newcastle. I've got 23 in the warehouse. Wouldn't it be nice to just be able to say, actually, we've got 17 in stock. Would you like them? And then get a quote or an order on there. And then that sort of information is kind of crucial to you growing your business. So any key documents that exist within Sage 200, but actually any relationships that might help me grow the business. So Abbey Retail actually are affected by kind of other businesses. So I know there's a relationship there with another business altogether. Might be someone's a director of more than one company. So now I can look at another company and look at potential cross-sell opportunities within there. Okay, so we've covered some of the areas of how very quickly Sage 200 can kind of be more efficient, can help grow, and can kind of get more out of your existing system just by switching it on.
Chris, I've actually, yeah, seems like a good point. I've got two questions, and one I know we're going to touch on very shortly, so we'll ask that one next. But one of the delegates we have on today is just asking, is Sage CRM 200 compatible with the online version of Sage 200 yet? And if not, is there a timescale for when that may be?
As it stands today, it's compatible with the on-premise version. So what you guys currently have in Sage 200 land, it works out of the box. You can switch that on tomorrow. The actually online version, we've got a connected version coming out very soon. So it's going through what we call beta testing. Very much we appreciate that the future, people want to be able to do things on the move. You want to be able to access things in the cloud. You want to be able to access things by mobile. It's actually already been written. We're testing it now. So I can't give you an exact date, but you've heard it here first. It's kind of happening. It's in the pipeline. In fact, if I go back to the slides, I've got a couple of areas I can cover. I'll just get rid of my map there for a second. So if I go into, you've led us on quite nicely.
It's almost as if it was meant to be, Chris, because I did say there was a second question, and this is coming from one of our delegates. It's just asking that they seem to have quite a lot of guys on the road. So what is the sort of the mobile remote options for Sage 200 CRM but certainly when it comes to using it mobile and on the road?
Perfect, thanks Will. Actually, yeah, it is almost like it's meant to be. The last part of my slide does cover the mobile area. So essentially, we've talked about our willingness to kind of get involved in the on-the-move scenarios. So again, using research from Gartner, they're telling us by next year, 40% of the workforce will be mobile. So whether that's just using your mobile for phone calls, actually it could be using it to kind of access your CRM, your accounts package. People are using apps to do day-to-day things that are key to the business. So it's important that we tap into that. And CRM is a web-based product. It runs across multiple browsers. And actually, you can face it externally. So if you're the sort of person, that, if you're like me and you've got an iPad and you want to access CRM, you could do that. But if you want to be more mobile, then what we've done is we've kind of brought in, we've released 2 CRM apps which can be used. So actually they can be used with the Apple. So the way that kind of works at the moment is it's more diary management, managing your contacts, managing your communications, that level. You can access your CRM from a mobile point of view, but what I would say is kind of when you're on the move, there's only certain areas you probably want to go into, and that's your communications, your contact, and looking at kind of key matrix, you would probably want a slightly bigger screen like an iPad if you wanted to use the full CRM. So already written for the Apple, but actually we've written it for a lot of other Android phones as well. So they're ready. You can download them from the app stores now. Quite simply, if you're using Sage 200, you can switch CRM on very quickly. And if you're very mobile centric, just download the app and get them talking to each other, so you can do that very quickly. So I'm going to kind of move on because we're kind of coming to the end of the presentation. But one of the things I want you to consider is, you know, use your business decisions on fact, not gut. So you've got Sage 200 already. Use your key reporting areas to find out what's going on. Improve how you work internally within your departments. Be more collaborative. Share documents, share information, kind of put your communications within there. Be more efficient. Reduce your data and work duplication. Don't be copying and pasting all the time. If you've got your system in one system, it needs to be in both. We don't want to waste business time. It's important. You need to be able to make informed business decisions. So the example I gave before, one version of the truth, 3 departments seeing the customer in the same light. Become more customer focused. So retention, it's not just about new business. Look after your customers. You know, we've all been in a situation where we've rang some of the, I'm not going to name names, but you've probably been on the phone for half an hour to some of the multinational companies. Could be electric company, or it could be some of the, I'm not going to say it, but one of the TV providers. And if you've gone from department to department and people aren't passing information on, it's very, very frustrating. So imagine what relationship you have with your customers when they call you. If they're calling you and you can answer their questions over the phone, you're logging the information, then the next day they phone and speak to someone else and they've got a clear picture of what's going on. That is good customer service. People expect that in this day and age. So I'm saying, don't just think about the new business, it's important, but retain and look after your existing customers and be more efficient and profitable using Sage 200 CRM. Okay, thank you very much for listening.
That's great, Chris. Thanks for that. Yeah, and really just on that summary slide, that's exactly the impression that I hope you leave with. Really just a case of making the whole sales, pre-sales, sales, and then post-sales experience for the customer a whole lot better. And I think once you, CRM is one of these things, once you actually implement it, you actually wonder how you lived without it. I know I did since I started using CRM many years ago. So in summary, if you like what you hear, TSG can help you implement that in partnership with Sage. So as Chris alluded to, you actually get 1 user of Sage CRM free with Sage 200, so you have that at the moment. Any additional users that you'd want to add, you can actually upgrade your Sage 200 licenses for the cost of £600 ex VAT each, and that means you can access more users into the CRM side of the business. Now, CRM is one of these things that, depending on what you want to use, as Chris rightly said, you can configure it and either use a small area of it and get going quickly, or you can decide to solve some real business problems and real business issues for you, and we can look at that in some more detail. So we've got 2 options for you. At TSG, we've got the Fast Start, which is 5 days of consultancy, which is £3,500 ex VAT. That covers basically your install and configuration, the setup of the standard system, including a lot of the features that we went over through today, as well as the training of that. So really to get you up and running with the system, get you logging opportunities, get you sort of managing your customers a bit better and getting some reporting out of the system. And then after that we would move forward if you needed anything further. In terms of any larger projects, any business solutions that you're trying to put in place, maybe something slightly different, what we would tend to recommend is a 2 to 3 day scoping exercise, and at the end of that what you would get is a defined functional requirements document, and what that would give you is a proper breakdown per department by user, what you're actually looking to achieve, and then obviously the cost at the end of that, which we can split out into phases should you so desire, and that falls under our standard £700 ex VAT daily rate. So that pretty much covers everything. Thanks very much for your time, Chris, again.
Great, thank you, Stephen. We've got a couple of questions in which we'll very quickly go over. Again, if you have any questions, because I know we've gone through quite a lot, quite a fast pace, So use the chat facility that you have on your control panel, and we can see if the chaps here can answer them. Like I say, got a couple to look at first, and whilst we've just been hearing from Stephen, perhaps this one's for you. We saw quite a bit through that presentation and all the varying elements that Sage CRM can cover. One of our attendees has asked that not everything that we've seen is potentially or particularly relevant to their business. So is it possible to hand pick the aspects that we've seen there? And I think Chris maybe alluded to it a bit, but what are the options for hand picking the sections that they really want for their business?
Yeah, a really good question. Effectively with CRM, because it can do so many things, sometimes that can seem a little bit overwhelming, but effectively the software itself, as Chris showed you earlier, you can turn elements of that on and off. You can elongate the sales cycle, you can shorten it completely, you can handle various parts of workflow. So the software itself almost takes care of itself in terms of what you can and can't adopt. In terms of how we actually extract from you as a customer what the most important thing is that you want to achieve, that's kind of where the kind of skill comes in a little bit. So our consultants, as part of that scoping exercise, or on the 5-day fast start, they'll actually sit down with you and spend some time in terms of what are the most manual processes you've got in the business on the sales side, where's the real pain in the business, and what we'll do is we'll rank that very quickly into a kind of 1 to 5 scale, and we'll kind of focus on the areas that you're going to see the best return from in terms of your investment. So to answer the question in summary, yes, the software can be adapted to fit around your business, but as I say, it's really a case of that business conversation with our consultants that will really open that up for you.
Thank you, Stephen. One last question at the moment. I think we did cover quite a bit during the presentation there. Excuse me. And this is for you, Chris. Could you help sort of clear up when it comes to prospective clients that aren't necessarily on the customer's database? How is it possible with all the views you're showing to actually monitor performance of prospects if they're not on the database? And potentially, is it quite easy and quick to get them onto the software, onto the database itself?
Oh, there's a nice toughie at the end for us there, isn't it? That's a good one. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a CRM system. I kind of mentioned earlier on that it does manage a lot of relationships between customers and suppliers, which already exist in Sage 200, but the key to driving new business is managing those prospect customers and making them customers. Now, a lot of people buy data in, or kind of you might go to a trade show and start acquiring new contacts. Now, you can, of course, just add that information in, but the system has kind of an upload facility. So if you have hundreds or even thousands or tens of thousands of prospect information that needs to come in to Sage 200, it's out of the box, deals with that. What it does is you basically have a series of kind of areas which segregate your data. So by using kind of drop downs, you can say these particular people are contacts or prospects, they're not yet customers, and as you go through a cycle with them, you can kind of give them kind of gradings, if you like. So it might be that you send them all emails out, you might want to monitor where they're at from that point of view, and then they go through almost like a process to become a customer, and you want to segregate that data out. Now, one of the great things about Sage 200 CRM is it sits on a SQL database, and without boring you to death, it means that actually has the ability to deal with large volumes of data. So you don't need to worry about having all of that data in your system. So you could even have 100,000 prospect accounts, but only 5,000 customers. And you might want to start looking at your reports or your dashboards, looking at your prospects and where they're at in that stage of becoming a customer. So again, Stephen rightly mentioned, it's just a case of having that early business conversation to see how you want to grade that information. And just with a few simple drop downs and fields, we'll segregate that information totally out.
Lovely. Lovely. So that is pretty much all the questions there that have been answered so far. Hopefully we've answered everything that you wanted to hear about Sage 200 CRM. If you haven't, then the contact details of Stephen and Chris are up on the screen, as well as TSG standard contact details, so you can get in touch with us and hopefully we'll be able to help you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you for your time. Have a fabulous Monday. Have a great rest of the week. Cheers, chaps, and we hope to hear from you all very soon.